It's another glorious day. What's up? And welcome to another episode of Gizmo Slip Tech. Today we're talking about the Lenovo Legion Pro 7 and 7i. How do these two laptops stack up against each other? And then also, how do these laptops stack up against the competition? I'll have a few comparisons here, some pros and cons for you, so be sure to watch through the whole video. Now, I was able to get my hands on the Lenovo Pro 7i while I was at CES last week, and I also got some side-by-side shots with my Legion 7i. When I first saw the Lenovo Pro 7i, I was flabbergasted. How could Lenovo butcher my baby? It is no longer the RGB laptop king. They've removed so much RGB, it's just like a basic RGB laptop at this point. You no longer have a RGB light up logo on the back, which really sucks. You no longer have RGB coming out of the vents, the right, the rear, the left side, and the RGB light bar in front no longer wraps around. So we all know that because we have less RGB, the Lenovo Pro 7i is actually going to be slower than last year's laptop. So that's pretty much wraps up this video. I'll see you in the next one. Brandon out. No, I'm just kidding. You're destroying the most beautiful laptop on the market. It makes me want to cry. To me, the Lenovo Pro 7i and Pro 7 this year are a distinct downgrade in design. But as far as the laptop's functionality and how it actually performs, it should be still a fantastic overall machine. It's just not going to be covered in unicorn vomit like we know and love. So let's talk about what improvements the Pro 7 and 7i bring to the table for 2023. Well, first of all, we have a vapor chamber cooling capable of cooling up to 235 watts between the CPU and GPU. But the CPU GPU vapor chamber is only included on the RTX 4080 and 4090 versions. If you get the 4070 version of the Pro 7i, it will be a CPU only vapor chamber with heat pipes for the RTX 4070. Another thing to keep in mind is that just the CPU gets liquid metal. The GPU has regular thermal paste. Let's take a look at the technical specs. We'll start with the Legion Pro 7i. Now you can get this with an i7-13700HX, which has 16 cores, 24 threads. That's 8 performance cores, 8 efficiency cores. Or you can get the i9-13900HX, which has 24 cores, 32 threads. That's 8 performance cores, dual threaded of course, and 16 efficiency cores. Now, you can get it with an RTX 4070 140 watt or an RTX 4080 or 4090, which goes up to 175 watts. Now, for the display, we're getting a QHD Plus 16:10, 240 Hz, 100% sRGB with 500 nits brightness. Basically, Lenovo has not moved forward and improved their screen technology, except that they've increased the refresh rate from 165 on my Legion 7i now up to 240 Hz for this generation. Now, of course, the display comes with G-Sync, and I'm assuming this machine has advanced Optimus, but I haven't seen any official confirmation. Now, there are 2 M.2 slots for SSDs, and you can get it configured with up to 2 terabytes of SSD out of the box. It has a Thunderbolt 4, a USB-C, 4 USB-As spread throughout all sides of the machine. Lenovo this year has focused a lot on adding more USB-As and removing some of the USB-Cs, so their users must be using USB-A more than USB-C. It feels a little backwards. I think I would have rather them go 3 USB-C and 3 USB-A. Now you get a headset combo port, HDMI 2.1, and Ethernet, 99.9 watt-hour battery, Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.1, a full HD webcam with privacy shutter, a 330 watt GAN power adapter, and the laptop weighs 6.17 pounds or 2.8 kilograms. Now, for the Lenovo Pro 7, the difference here is that you're getting a Ryzen 9 7945HX, which is their new 16-core 32-thread. So 16 fat cores and no efficiency cores. There is no RTX 4070 option listed for the Pro 7. The display and all the other features on the laptop appear to be identical, except there's no Thunderbolt 4. There's 2 USB-C ports. But other than that, the only change really is that we now have an AMD processor instead of Intel. It's hard to say exactly which processor is going to handle multi-core workloads better yet. Obviously, having more cores may provide an advantage to the i9 chip, The fact that AMD has 16 powerful cores and no efficiency cores means that AMD may take the multi-core rendering lead. We'll have to actually test and find out. The other big advantage the Ryzen chip has this year is that we have an 80 megabyte cache, which should theoretically boost FPS in CPU-bound games. But we're going to have to test this and see if it actually boosts performance or not. Now, the other major advantage the Ryzen processor has is that Lenovo themselves are estimating 12 hours of battery on the Ryzen-based version, while the Intel version only estimates 8 hours of battery. And that's a very big difference and one major reason to consider the Pro 7 over the Pro 7i. Now, the reason why we have this power efficiency is obviously because of the nanometer process that these CPUs are made with. The Intel 13th gen is still using 10 nanometer process, while the Ryzen 9 7945HX utilizes only a 5 nanometer process, which is obviously going to be a lot more power efficient. Now, both versions of the Pro 7 features Lenovo's LA2Q AI chip. It's designed to dynamically shift power between the CPU and GPU in the middle of gaming workloads to optimize for the best frame rate. But of course, NVIDIA Dynamic Boost has been doing this for years, and I'm just not sure that we're actually going to see any real performance gains from this, but it's something that we'll have to test out and then compare the performance of the Legion Pro 7 and Pro 7i versus similarly spec'd other machines that don't have this AI chip, and we'll have to see if there's actually a performance boost. If anything, I'm guessing there might be a small boost in CPU-bound games. The new Legion Pro 7i features up to 140 watt USB-C power delivery, up from 135 from last year. Now, when you compare the Legion Pro 7i and Pro 7 versus the competition, I think the biggest difference here is that we don't know what the CPU TDP is yet on the Legion Pro 7 and Pro 7i. We know that the Razer Blade 16 goes up to 110 watts of power on the CPU, and we know that the Scar 16 can go up to 175 watts in a burst, and then it'll sustain down at 145 watts. So that leaves the question of what will the Legion Pro 7 and 7i actually be capable of? The other huge difference, of course, is going to be the display quality. I feel like Lenovo has been left behind. They were ahead of the curve there back in 2021 with the 500 nit 16:10 display, and now they're behind the curve with the Scar 16 and Razer Blade 16 offering mini LED displays with over 1,000 nits brightness. And I think the display quality alone will be enough to sway some users from switching from Lenovo over to the Scar or Blade 16. One thing is clear that when it comes to 16-inch laptops this year, the Lenovo Pro 7 and Pro 7i is going to be at the very top, competing, trading blows with the very best laptops in the 16-inch category. But I can't help but think the design downgrade this year on the Pro 7 and Pro 7i series, and the fact that they're not offering mini LED, is going to end up hurting Lenovo's bottom line, which may translate into good sales on the Legion Pro 7 and Pro 7i later on down the line. Be sure to like and subscribe for more laptop videos. I'll see you in the next one. Brandon out. Doesn't Lenovo know that when you strip the RGB off a laptop, you're stripping all of the raw unicorn power from it? I mean, come on!